Hello and welcome everyone. Today we're going to review the U.S. Constitution in 7 minutes. The Constitution is made up of a preamble, 7 articles, and amendments. We will discuss the amendments in later slides. But first, let's start with the preamble. The preamble is the introduction to the Constitution, and it says, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." Next, Articles 1, 2, and 3 provide for the 3 branches of the federal government. The first branch of the federal government is the legislative branch, which is empowered to make the law of the land through a House of Representatives and a Senate. In order to make law, both the House and the Senate must pass identical versions of legislation, which then goes to the executive branch for signature or veto. The second branch of the federal government is the executive branch, which is empowered to enforce the law of the land. The executive branch is made up of the office of the President and Vice President. The third branch of the federal government is the judicial branch, which is empowered to interpret the law. The judicial branch is made up of the Supreme Court of the United States, federal courts, and state courts. The fourth article of the Constitution has to do with states' rights. It provides that states are independent and allows them to create and enforce their own laws. It also requires that states cooperate with other states, treat all citizens equally, and extradite fugitives to states demanding custody. Further, it requires that new states must be treated equally with all other existing states. And finally, it provides that the federal government controls public lands within states and can uphold law and order within a state if necessary. Article 5 provides that the Constitution is a dynamic document that can be modified and updated over time to meet the needs of an expanding and evolving country. It provides 2 options for amending the Constitution. Option 1 provides for amendments to be originated by Congress and then sent to states for ratification. And Option 2 provides for the states to originate an amendment to the Constitution through a convention. So Option 1 is top-down from Congress, and Option 2 is bottom-up from the states. Article 6 provides that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land and is superior to city, county, and state laws. Further, it provides that state and federal officials must take an oath to defend the Constitution and has an explicit provision that religion cannot be a requirement to hold public office. Finally, Article 7 provides for the Constitution to be effective after 9 of the then 13 states ratified the Constitution in 1788. Now on to the amendments. The first 10 amendments are known as the Bill of Rights. The First Amendment provides Americans with certain personal freedoms including religion, speech, press, assembly, and petitioning the government with their grievances. The Second Amendment provides American citizens with the right to bear arms with simple language that says, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." The Third Amendment is obsolete in that it was intended to prevent the British from forcing citizens to house and feed its soldiers. The Fourth Amendment applies to arrests and searches of citizens, their homes, or other private property. The Fifth Amendment provides for protections to those accused of crimes. Those protections include a right to a grand jury, prohibition from being tried twice for the same crime, a right not to self-incriminate themselves, and rights to due process. It further provides that the government must pay fair compensation when it takes a citizen's property. The Sixth Amendment provides further protections to those accused of crimes, including 1. They must be informed of criminal charges against them. 2. They have the right to be represented by a lawyer. 3. They can require witnesses to publicly testify in court. 4. They can call their own witnesses. 5. They have a right to a trial by an impartial jury. And 6. They have the right to have a speedy public trial. The Seventh Amendment gave the right to a jury trial in civil matters that are unrelated to criminal prosecutions, like medical malpractice cases. The Eighth Amendment prevents the use of excessive bail to unjustly imprison the accused and prevents the government from torturing the accused. The Ninth Amendment acknowledges that our rights are not limited to those specifically stated in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, like the right to travel. And finally, the 10th Amendment and last amendment in the Bill of Rights says that the federal government has only those powers specifically identified in the Constitution, and that any power not listed is left to the states or the people. This includes laws like those affecting the family, such as marriage, divorce, and adoption. Now we will move on to the remaining 17 amendments after the Bill of Rights. The 11th Amendment shifted power back to the states after a specific Supreme Court decision shifted certain powers to the federal government. The 12th Amendment is a bit complicated, but the bottom line is that it was designed to address two issues. The first is that it worked to prevent the election of a president and vice president from opposing political parties. The second is that it worked to prevent the House of Representatives from selecting the president in the event of a tie vote in the Electoral College. The 13th Amendment put an end to the ravages of slavery that marred the country since the early 1600s. The 14th Amendment declared that every person born or naturalized was a citizen of the United States, and it repealed the 3/5 counting of former slaves. Further, it allowed Congress to prohibit former leaders of the Confederacy from holding office, and it exempted the federal government from paying Confederate states for lost use of slave labor. The 15th Amendment was designed to protect the rights of African Americans to vote. The 16th Amendment gave Congress the power to enact a nationwide income tax. The 17th Amendment removed the power to choose congressional senators from state legislatures and gave it to the voters of each state. The 18th Amendment banned consumption of liquor throughout the United States. The 19th Amendment uniformly gave women the long overdue right to vote. The 20th Amendment provided for congressional terms to begin on January 3rd and presidential inaugurations to be on January 20th. The 21st Amendment repealed prohibition from liquor that was provided for in the 18th Amendment. The 22nd Amendment limited presidents to 2 total terms. The 23rd Amendment provided residents of the District of Columbia with the right to choose electors in the same way states do in federal elections. The 24th Amendment abolished poll taxes in an effort to battle institutionalized voter suppression. The 25th Amendment established procedures for filling a vice president's office on vacancy, and it established procedures for elevating a vice president to president if a president is unfit or otherwise incapacitated. The 26th Amendment gave 18-year-olds the right to vote in all U.S. elections, and the 27th Amendment prohibited Congress from receiving a salary increase until after an election. Thank you, and please like and subscribe.